Так, и снова здравствуйте. Мы с вами продолжаем. Продолжаем мы с вами, потому что Скорн внезапно закончился. Мы его прошли. Это, конечно, успешный успех. Но полчаса стрима, я думаю, мне не простят. Поэтому сейчас мы будем с вами смотреть игрушку за Stanley Parable Ультра Делюкс. Так, ну а прежде чем ее смотреть, мы, конечно же, должны с вами что сделать правильно. Закинуть в наш ТГ-канал оповещения. Так, ну и давайте запускаться. Что за игрушка, не знаю, не играл. Сейчас с вами, собственно, и познакомимся с этим шедевром. Язык мы выбираем русский, субтитров тоже русский, все русское. Вы уже играли в Stanley Parable? Нет, не играл. Перетащите ползунок, пока компьютер не будет едва виден. Окей. Видите, текущее время. Что у нас с вами? 21:35. У нас АМ или ПМ? ПМ, наверное, да? И каждый раз путаю, что это значит. ПМ. Так, 36. Подтвердить. Специальные настройки можно выбрать в главном меню. Окей. Специальные настройки. Поле зрения. Чувствительность камеры. Версия. Вибрация контроллера. Размер сантиметров. Прозрачность. Максимум. Полноэкранный. Да. Влаживание. Окей. Управление. Ну, с управлением по ходу разберемся. Давайте начинать. Голос погромче. Голос погромче. Сейчас. А что сегодня слышно-то плохо? Вроде бы настройки с прошлого стрима не менялись. Микрофон. Давайте чуть-чуть поднимем. Так получше? Либо игру потише. Давайте игру потише, лучше сделаем. Так, хорошо? Раз. Все, хорошо. Ну, начать игру.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Это история человека по имени Стэнли.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where
Стэнли
he was
работал в большой
employee
компании на
number
должность сотрудника
427.
номер 427.
Employee number
Работа
427's
сотрудника номер
job was
427 была простой.
He sat at his
Он
desk
сидел
in
за
room
столом в комнате
427
427
and he
и нажимал
pushed
кнопки.
buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him
Инструкции
through a
приходили к
monitor
нему
on
на
the
экран.
desk, telling him
Они
what
указывали ему,
buttons to
какие
push,
кнопки нажимать,
how
как
long
долго и
to
в каком
push them,
порядке.
and in what order. This is what employee
Сотрудник номер
427
427
did
делал
every
это
day
день за днем,
every
год за
month
годом.
of every year. And although
И хотя
others
кто-то
might have
может
considered
сказать,
it
что такая работа
sobering,
вытягивает душу,
Stanley relished
Стэнли был
every
рад
minute
каждой
of
новой
the
инструкции
orders
и
he
чувствовал, что он создан
though
для
he
этой
had been
работы.
made exactly for this job. And
Стэнли был
was
счастлив.
happy. And then one day something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever
Что
change
навсегда
Stanley.
изменит Стэнли. Извините,
Something he
пропустил.
would
То, чего он
never
никогда
quite
не
forget.
забудет.
He had been at his
Он
desk
сидел
for
за
nearly
столом
an
около
hour
часа
when he
и вдруг
realized that
понял,
not
что ему
one
до сих пор не
single
пришло ни одной
order had
инструкции.
arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had
Никто
showed
не
up to
зашел
give
дать
him
ему задание,
instructions,
позвать на совещание
call a
или просто
meeting,
поздороваться.
or even say hi. Never
За
in
все
all
годы в
his
компании
years
такого
at the
еще не
company
случалось.
had
Он
this
был совсем
happened.
один.
This complete isolation. Something was
Что-то
very
явно
clearly
пошло не
wrong.
так.
Shocked,
Стэнли
frozen
оцепенел.
solid,
Довольно долго он не мог
Stanley found
пошевелиться
himself
и
unable to
пальцем.
move for the longest time. But as he came
Но
to his
потихоньку
wits and
пришел в себя,
regained his
собрался с
senses,
духом,
he got up
встал
from
из-за
his
стола и
desk
вышел из
and stepped
кабинета.
out of his office.
Ага, и вот здесь нам передают управление. Чем-то Стэнли напоминает мне всех нас. Ой, как... А, можно и мышкой управлять, и УВСД.
На камеру.
Спасибо, баловень. Не знаю, кто ты, дружище, но спасибо тебе большое. Окей, к следующему стриму обязательно купим камеру, значит. Ничего себе. Бля, брат, не знаю, кто ты. Правда, огромное спасибо. Так, а мы тем временем будем двигаться тогда. Ты хоть напиши чего-нибудь, баловень. Так. Так, дверку нам открыть не дают. Эту тоже. Так, подождите, дайте я сенсу немножко уменьшу, потому что это вообще жесть, насколько резкое управление. Так, чувствительность камеры, это, наверное, я так понимаю. Во, да, так получше. Стример не просто в шоках, стример в ахуе. И все его коллеги пропали, что бы это могло быть. Стэнли решил пойти в переговорную. Пропустил диалог. Прям пропустил диалог, и извините, пожалуйста. Я растерян. Сколько Стэнли не искал, никого из коллег он так и не нашел. Ты последний компьютер выключил, дурак. Да брось, что... Ты что, за это хочешь достижение заработать? Нажал на дверь уже 5 раз и уже получаешь значок? Нет, я не могу развивать из-за такой ерунду. Подумаешь, 5 действий. Вот если бы надо было нажать 20, это бы уже заслуживало похвалы. Ну давай 20 нажмем. Я сейчас все равно не вижу в этом благородного дела, достойного награды. Пожалуй, лучше 50 нажать. Да, точно 50. Давайте потроллим игру. Игра троллит нас, а мы потроллим ее. Нет, все равно не то. Хочешь, чтобы это достижение чего-то стоило. Чтобы она была награда за отважные действия. Давайте 20 раз попробуешь открыть дверь 417. Ага. 417. Давайте попробуем. Есть у меня смутное подозрение, что игра нас просто тупо стебет. Теперь 437. Игра определенно нас просто выстебывает.
Excellent. I think we're getting somewhere. Now door 415. Let's give it 10 clicks or so.
Я понять не имею, что происходит, но это забавно. 415, окей. Давайте слушаться голос свыше.
Now, back to door number
Теперь
437.
обратно к двери 437.
Let's see. How about you click on, well, I don't know, the copy machine. All right, back to room 417. I'm really feeling it now. I think we're getting somewhere.
Но теперь уже есть ощущение, что дело важное.
Okay, now go climb on employee 419's desk.
А как забраться? Так, подождите, давайте по управлению тогда посмотрим. Прыжок Space. Так, это тыкая, он не прыгает, кстати. А, дали ачивку, прыгать нельзя. Серьезно, мы отключили прыжки. Бля, игра просто нас выстебали.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ага, игра говорит, что в левую. Нет, нихера, мы пойдем
This was
вправо.
not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well.
Переговорная была в другой
Perhaps he
стороне,
wanted to stop by
но
the
Стэнли это
employee
знал.
lounge first, just to admire it.
Слушайте, я, честно говоря, не успеваю читать за субтитрами. Мы можем либо понизить скорость субтитров, если вы хотите, чтобы я их озвучивал, либо будем читать вместе. Что скажете? Давайте слушать, окей.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Так,
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it.
короче, игра стебет нас за то, что мы ее не послушались и пошли другим путем.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Стэнли так плохо следовал инструкциям, что до сих пор, что непонятно, как его до сих пор не уволили. Ну да. А что мы? Голос из компьютера слушать будем? Нет. Не прыгайте вниз. Хорошо, не будем. Ага, тут все закрыто.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by
Короче, игра
yourself.
просит нас перестать
I'm not
принимать
asking for
каждое
me,
решение
I'm asking for her.
самостоятельно.
This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your
Отложи
life.
работу и пусти ее обратно в
She's
свою
been
жизнь.
waiting.
Она ждет тебя. Так, окей. Блять, я не хочу... Тут пугалка, да? Тут пугалка. Там темно и ни хера не видно. Я не хочу. Я наигрался в хорроры с вами. Вы меня до инсульта доведете. Блять.
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To read.
Окей. Должен сделать шаг навстречу. Сделал. У, суки. Пирог она из духовки достает. Я аж заикаться начал.
Gotcha! Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
Жестокая игра.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Доброе утро, сотрудник 427. Нажмите V на своем клавиатура. Окей.
Станley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence. Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
Ага, и другие кнопки, кстати, если нажимаешь...
But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly.
Да я не хочу тыкать кнопки, которые ты говоришь. Что за херня?
So he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold. As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable. It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one.
Какая игра, конечно, ублюдская.
And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
А мы нажмем.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
А я не буду нажимать. А что будет, если не нажимать? Но, видимо,
I
придется.
suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried...
Блять, начало у игры просто разъеб.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Так, окей. Видимо, эту историю нам показали, потому что мы не слушали.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Окей, мы дошли до
Yet there was
переговорной.
not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Да, озвучка в игре у рассказчика прям кайфовая. Интересно, есть ли здесь русская озвучка? Я предполагаю, что нету. Да, я не вижу во всяком случае русской озвучки. Вообще выбора озвучки. Так что да, играем как есть.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Окей.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Я хочу посмотреть, что будет игра делать, если ее не слушаться.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I
Да, игра
am
прям
okay.
разъеб. Чисто выстебывает все, что нас окружает.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Так, и мы опять в кабинете, да?
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
М-м.
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself. And
Да,
then
ну понятно,
collapsed dead
кукуха
on the
все-таки
sidewalk.
отлетела, да?
And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Так. Короче, мы с вами просто бесим игру, да, я так
All
понимаю?
of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he
Tak.
wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow, yes, this room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't
повторяем.
fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really I'm not. I realize that investing in your... But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Так,
All of
хорошо.
his co-workers were gone.
Мне
What
просто
could it
интересно,
mean?
что игра
Stanley
будет
decided to
говорить,
go to
если
the
мы
meeting
несколько
room.
раз повторим
Perhaps he had
один и
simply
тот
missed
же
a memo.
неправильный путь.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime.
a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about... But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death.
Я, кстати, почти уверен,
Good
что там
job,
можно
Stanley.
допрыгнуть.
Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Так, давайте еще
All of his
разочек.
co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley for the first, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Так, пробегаем.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Было бы прикольно, если бы голос
Look,
начинал
Stanley,
злиться.
I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been a... What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
Так, игра начинает нервничать.
Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Стэнли зашел в красную дверь. Какую таблетку ты выберешь, Нео?
Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door. I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley... All right, fine, go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you. You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map, because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? I do not think I put a lot of time into that, because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing, because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what, let me take a stab in the dark at a new design and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin. Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here.
Че нажимаем? Какой ответ? Игрушку мы таки выбесили. Давайте троечку нажмем. 1.
A 1? I mean, I can understand if you had reservations, you saw ways the game could be improved to more fully express itself mechanically and artistically, but a 1? That's not even helpful. What am I supposed to do with that? But I guess it isn't my place to judge. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one.
Не, ну
Let's
игра
take a
просто
look.
кайф.
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please. Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up. In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective?
Мне просто
Be sure
интересно,
to
тот
keep
4
notes
часа
on your
чисто по
experience.
приколу играл.
You heartless bastard. Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game, just to ease the pain? Let's see. What do we have here? Yes, this seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot.
Так.
Aha! Fascinating. What do you think this game is about, Stanley? What's our backstory? What is our motivation? Well, it seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a creepy man spying on innocent civilians below you from up high in your creep tower, perhaps for some sort of twisted erotic purpose. Yes, that must be it. What a fascinating venture into the experience of total mental depravity. So far, I love everything about this game, Stanley. And it seems there's even more. Come, let's venture outward and see what else is out there.
Так. Прыжков нету. Я бы прыгнул.
Oh no. No, it can't be. It is. It's an open world game. Good God, quickly block it off. Oh, thank goodness, Stanley. What a close call. I nearly wandered off into that thing. That big, open, just wandering around. No right or wrong directions. No path to follow. You can just go in any... Oh, thank heavens we avoided it. We're out of the woods now, Stanley. Okay, I'm going to get us out of here. Let's find another game. Preferably something with walls. Something with nice, big, insurmountable walls. Okay, I think this will be just the thing. Wonderful. See, this is exactly what I had in mind. Just a nice big box for you to run around in. There isn't any possibility that you could get lost here. Now this is game design. Stanley, if you manage to get lost in this game, I will be phenomenally impressed. Okay, so what exactly do we do here? Let's see. There are lots of cars here in the back, but obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here. Is this game sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports ball. Oh, what fun. We shall run the bases and do a touchdown together. Yes, I think surely we must. Okay, Stanley, here's the ball. Have fun. Hold on. What are you doing? Stanley, don't do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help you. How will you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back and show me.
Яр, привет. Так, мы выбесили игрушку окончательно. Мы теперь хер знает где и без сопровождения. Но она нам упорно не даст заблудиться. Ты чё на шпионском сегодня, Ерик? Как ты себя чувствуешь, дорогой? Все хорошо? О как.
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice. And if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon. I can wait. Someone was following Stanley. He was sure of it. If he checked over his shoulder now, he would surely catch them. It was only a matter of time.
Так.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors,
Ну ладно, давайте
he
войдем
entered the
влево.
door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Так, хорошо. В прошлый раз, когда мы
Coming to a
спустились вниз,
staircase,
мы сошли
Stanley
с ума.
walked upstairs to his boss's
Давайте
office.
поднимемся наверх. Вечно бесить игру все равно бессмысленно. О, тут уже можно на лифте покататься.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
Что-то скажешь интересно, если неправильно вводить пароль?
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
На самом деле я впервые встречаю игру, которую забавно просто
2, 8, 4, 5.
неправильно проходить.
Forgot, but it turns out that the panel's emergency override kicked in, and the door just opened all by itself. And Stanley got the hell along with the story. Well, whoop-de-doo.
Сколько горит можно. Так, идем дальше.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question
Не-не-не,
the
пароль-то
nature
я
of his
видел,
job.
Ань.
Why did he
Пароль
feel
я
this
видел, я
now,
специально
when
стебу
for
игру.
years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Whoops, nope, never mind. Stanley actually got back into the elevator and went back up. Silly me. Why did Stanley do that when he knew that it would just lead back to his boss's office? Well, that's a great question. I just can't wait to find out. Here we are, Stanley. It's your boss's office. Exactly the way it was before you got onto the elevator. It's still just exactly what it is. What a decision you've made to come up here and look at the office again. This has fleshed out the plot of the story in new and fascinating ways I could have never anticipated. It's that keen eye for storytelling that you have, an incisive rapid fire of critical plot points, one after the other, weaving a rich tapestry of uncompromising narrative. Wow! I'm bolted to the edge of my seat.
Первый раз встречаю игру, которую можно просто выбесить. Так, ладно, давайте пойдем обратно в лифт.
Incredible. Now he's getting back into the elevator and going down again. Ladies and gentlemen, how does he keep coming up with all of this?
Дамы и господа, как он только это все придумывает.
Surely this time Stanley will walk forward into the spooky corridor, won't he? Did you think we were going to go forward down the spooky corridor? No. It's time once again to go back up in the elevator. I can't even begin to grapple with what might be up there. Is it the boss's office again? Or what if it's the boss's office this time? The suspense is killing me. Oh my God, it's the boss's office. This absolutely changes everything for me. Give me a time out here for a minute while I process this.
Бля, это очень сильно.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm prepared to embrace this stunning revelation and to move forward with... No! No, wait! No! I need more time to process.
Я понял, это игра, где ты бесишь игру, а игра бесит тебя.
I have fully come to terms with it. I have made space in my worldview for this astonishing new reality. As before, I turn to your expert eye for gripping narrative, Master Stanley.
Так, давайте к лифту. О, кнопка заработала.
Of course. Going back down in the elevator. How did I not anticipate it? I mean, sure, now it's obvious, but you have to understand that 30 seconds ago, this kind of thing had never been attempted before. I had no frame of reference to even anticipate it. That's just how revelatory Stanley's decision-making is. A breath of fresh air in a landscape of storytelling that has grown stale and repetitive.
Последний разочек.
You know what? I've just thought of something. Hold on, let's stop for a moment. Don't you realize? It's the anticipation, Stanley. You and I, we have no way of knowing what will be at the top of this elevator. But the suspense, the agony of waiting and anticipating and having to guess, that's the real thrill. Oh, I simply don't want to let that feeling go. It's so precious, so fleeting. Why don't we take this elevator ride nice and slow? There we go. Isn't this so much more exciting? You know, Stanley, it seems like nowadays the only thing that audiences want is to be shocked as loudly and frequently as possible. They want big, explosive moments flung right in their faces from the very moment that things get started. But where's the tension? Where's the trust in the audience to build a slow and nuanced appreciation for the story, the characters? Why aren't we given time to imagine the surprises, to have to think and to anticipate, and then to marvel at the eventual reveal? This is storytelling, Stanley. What you and I are doing right now. This is the most exciting narrative to be developed in years, and it's really all because of you. You're the one who took this bold step of revisiting the exact same locations over and over. Truly, I mean it. This is unique and different. It's not like anything else out there. You see, I want stories that surprise me, Stanley. I want to have to think. I want to be engaged and not pandered to. We're being fed such unimaginative drivel all the time, and we all know it, which is why we're so starved for content that makes us feel sharp and vital and alive. That's why people like you so much, Stanley. Because you're not afraid to spit in the face of tradition. You're a role model, you know? People look up to you. Which is why, oh, I didn't know when to spring this on you, but, well, I've gathered a little press conference for you, so that you can talk about your work and your storytelling and your life. Yes, I know you're not much for the public eye, but I thought it would especially mean a lot to the people who have been following you from the beginning. They really look up to you, Stanley. I don't know if you realize the impact you have on them. This is the kind of gesture that might leave a tremendous impact on them for the better. Oh, good, we're here. Okay, the room where we're holding the press conference should be just around the corner here somewhere.
Live on stage. Окей.
Ah, yes, here it is, just through this door.
Я хочу на лифт. Отпусти меня на лифт. Ну ладно. На лифт нельзя, придется идти туда.
All right, I you ready? I've told them you're going to speak a little bit about the nature of surprise in storytelling and what it means to craft a truly unpredictable narrative. Oh, don't worry. You'll do great. Just be yourself and speak from the heart. I'm really proud of you, Stanley. Okay, it looks like they're ready for you. Go get them.
Так, хорошо, нас
All
вернули.
of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley
Герман,
came to
здорово.
a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Stanley felt lightheaded, butterflies in his stomach, giddy in a way he had never
А
known
мы здесь
before.
игрушку бесим.
Was it this room? A connection between the two? Could a man love a room? I mean, truly, truly, deeply, madly love. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track. But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, left. Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake.
Я понял, игра обидела, сейчас
No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way. No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Так.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
Самое
Perhaps he had
интересное в
simply
этой
missed a
игре это
memo.
повторять одно и то же и смотреть, как сгорает жопа у диктора.
When Stanley... Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear, I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
О как. Поворачиваем все время направо.
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
Бля,
All of his
это
co-workers
очень
were gone.
забавно.
What could
Это
it
прям
mean?
очень хорошо.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
Ну, пусти меня куда-нибудь. Ты чё, демон?
Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story. Here it comes. No, wait, never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps. Now this... Well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job. Oh, no. No, I don't feel right about this at all.
Замуровали,
We both
демон.
know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart. All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable adventure line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
Так, игнорируем линию.
No, I'm done. We're leaving it up to the line from now on.
Хорошо. О, пасьянсик кто-то раскладывал. Так, ломимся во все двери.
You see? The line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Okay, Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick with me. Now, we can both agree that the nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's subjective experience of that existence, right? Okay. Now, if my experience of your existence rests inside of your subjective experience of this office, is this office, in fact, the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
Так, игра перегородила нам вообще все. Да, сегодня Герман зашел. Очень громкая игрушка. Конечно, вообще перебор. Да, сегодня добрый человек зашел и решил, что нужна камера. После стрима буду заказывать камеру.
Wait, cut the music, go back and look at that fern.
Нет.
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No, no. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley. Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
Так, игра нас водит какими-то странными маршрутами. Это, видимо, наказание за то, что мы ее так упорно выбешивали, да?
Oh, no, not again, Line. How could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart. You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
Так.
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it.
Нормально мы рассказчика выбесили.
Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine. Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere at the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits.
Ладно. Запутанная концовка.
Hold up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's
Восьмой
really how
запуск.
all this goes? It's all determined? So now,
Просто
according
наши
to the
шаги
schedule, I
перечислены.
restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget?
Это
Well, what if I
идеально.
don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? how would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So, okay. I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story, wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you do...
Блять, напугал скотина. Хорошо. Давайте попробуем в этот раз слушать.
Gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
О, новый контент.
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content. Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure. Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... Oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more
Сейчас
ready.
просто
Let's do it.
перезапуск, и мы в кабинете оказываемся.
I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if, Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley. All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
О, прыжки заработали. Напомню, в игре выключены прыжки.
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right? Goodness. Another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh, wait. There's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
Так.
That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content.
Бля,
I'm
это очень
afraid.
сильно.
It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend? Psst. Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
Так.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look. I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC. You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013 when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
Блин, прикольно сделано. Мне очень нравится.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content. Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone, to spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories. These were simpler times, Stanley, but I wouldn't give to go back to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the Memory Zone before. What's this? What's down here? Oh no. Oh God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they? Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them. Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Oh dear. What an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remember. What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have. And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant... Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of... Well, there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption...
Бля, его бесить просто
Okay,
шик.
welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? It's not unendurable by any means, but it's, well, there's really only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do suggest that we not... Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting... Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been...
Прям серия Черного зеркала
2
вспомнилась.
weeks. I've been sitting here all that time. Just sitting here. Not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking and you saying nothing. Would you think that it's exactly the same as always? Doesn't that feel like... Oh, hello, it's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about our...
О, замолчал, обиделся.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth.
Мне кажется, ему надо время выговориться.
The the end, is never 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 the end, is never.
Походу реально клина словил. О как. О, солнышко светит. Хорошо. Каждый раз проматывается все больше и больше времени, да? Говорил он. Скримеры пошли. О, выход. Это просто прикол какой-то. Это прям идеальная игра.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room to check on his co-workers. He
Внезапно.
never functioned well by himself and constantly needed support and guidance from others, so the thought of total solitude was terrifying to him.
Новый контент. Переговорный или новый контент? Пойдемте в переговорную сходим.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Короче,
Yet there
чисто
was not a
слушаемся
single
его во
person
всем.
here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
А тут что, тут не кабинет? А, тут лифт.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it? Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music. Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Как зайти темно же? Ага, хорошо.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Так.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Конечно, отважится.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Так.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Давай, Герман, доброй ночи.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Мы получили ачивку «Пройдите игру».
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
В
Perhaps he had
принципе,
simply
на
missed a
этом
memo.
мы сегодня с вами, наверное, и закончим. Если чего, всегда вернуться мы успеем, чтобы побесить эту игру еще раз. А на сегодня мы с вами заканчиваем и отправляемся отдыхать. Всем большое спасибо. Камеру я скину в телеграм-канале, который выберу. И закажу ее завтра в ближайшее время появится камера на стримах. Ну, а теперь доброй ночи. Пока-пока.